Greetings, welcome to Tifa's Tarot, and in this video we are going to be continuing our journey through the lovely tarot. And in this series we have the High Priestess. High Priestess comes after the Magician card, and in a way the High Priestess is an opposite of the Magician. Whereas the Magician talks about, it's an action card. It talks about realizing something from your highest mind and actually like manifesting an idea into the earthly plane. The High Priestess is more of a passive card. It's definitely an inaction card. It beckons you to kind of embrace inaction, really as a means of garnering some internal strength. Symbolically, this is a Cancerian card. Okay, it's represented by Cancer zodiologically. And Cancerian traits are known to be nurturing, compassionate, sensitive in some ways, seeking safety and security in a lot of ways, and that's the positive traits. Obviously, when it's reversed, right, it can have other traits. We'll talk about that in another video. Let's see. It also is a feminine card, so it has the energy of very subtle passivity as a means of garnering power, because passivity can be power as well, can be very powerful as well. Okay, you don't need to use brute force because the power is coming from inside. Okay, so you can see it's number 2, and twos are associated with duality in a sense. Okay, duality in yin and yang, logic and intuition, feminine and masculine, intuition and logic, right? Your heart and your mind. Okay, so duality is kind of the sense of this card as well. Okay, you can kind of see that with the black and white pillars. Okay, that represent the pillars from the Old Testament. This is Boaz and Yanich, okay, which were basically the gateways to get into Solomon's temple. So they represent the dynamic, that duality of strength but beauty, okay, was what those represent. You can also see there she's wearing a cross on her, right? So there's like a lot of like biblical or religious symbols in this card. She's the High Priestess, okay? The cross kind of, what we kind of know about what the cross represents is it represents cardinal energy, right? It also represents the balance of the body, like your body, your heart, your mind, and your spirit, right, are also associated with that. In her hand, she has a text of the Torah, right, or we can call like the Old Testament in her hand. But as you can see, she's not really looking at it, right? This kind of symbolizes that you can practice faith, but faith is not about the rituals. Like, faith is about an inner knowing, and that is really what this is about. She doesn't need to read what's in there because inside of herself, she already knows. She already knows it, okay? Here we've also got the crescent moon, okay, which is another feminine energy. So you see that at her feet, and it really represents the feminine power of being able to regenerate yourself throughout the phases of the moon. We're so amazing. Also represents fertility, right? Let's see, anything else? I'm sure there's like more things, but those are really like the things that I can tell you about the symbols in the card. But let's kind of talk about what the card means in general, right? In a general sense, it is talking about kind of like a feminine mystery. It's really an eagerness for one to really like have an intuition or develop their intuition and to trust it as well. It's like subconsciously knowing something. anyone who is a woman obviously understands, like, there is knowing the fact of something, and then there is another inner knowing. Okay, and I don't think you necessarily have to be a woman to understand that, but you just have to be in touch with the feminine part of yourself, right? Which everyone has. We all have varying degrees of masculine, feminine energy in ourselves. So in general, it could also be urging you to look into your dreams that might be telling you something, and to really like trust your instincts when it comes to if you're making a decision about something. Okay. So if you are inquiring about love, okay, the high priestess, if you're single, could mean that you're like seductive or highly sought after in a way. It could also be asking you to be patient in your like love situation, and to sit calm and kind of just like assess what's going on like internally, so that you know like what's good for you. That's kind of something you should take heed to if you're single. If you are in a relationship, so you're partnered up, it could signify like just like having, I guess, like good sex, like having a good like physical connection. It's also because it is a mystery card, it kind of comes with a message to, like, because it has this inner knowing, it's asking you to also be honest with yourself and be truthful about your relationships, right? And those will always bring out the best results, right? When everyone is honest. If you are inquiring about career or finance, and this card appears, it could represent being inspired to do things that are of creative, like any partaking in your creative endeavors. That could like bode well for you financially if that's what you are thinking. It could could also mean that there's a person around you who is maybe like a mentor of some sort, who is entering your life and could be taking you to the next stage of your studies or career in that sense. And to trust your intuition about that. Financially, what I was reading is that it's because this is not a sure, it's not like an active thing. When it comes to like financial affairs, just exercise caution with the giving information about your finances to people. Okay. That there could be like an error of mystery of something that you might quite not know, right? Let's say spiritually, if we're talking about the high priestess, it's a good card on a spiritual sense, because it really, especially if you're someone who is looking for like to grow like psychically, right? This comes up, it means that you're on the right track, that you are really grasping or understanding whatever spiritual concept that you're practicing at the moment, and just start partaking in understanding and knowing that inner voice, right? And letting it lead you to the path that it needs to. So trusting in that, okay? So that is the beautiful high priestess, card number 2. Lots of duality symbols in here. Lots of biblical references. It's a difficult card to get a hard grasp on, but I understand it. And always remember, whenever you're reading this, of course, the meanings may alter depending on the cards that surround it as well, okay? But by itself, that is the general meaning for it. So I hope that was helpful.